This is the recipe I use for the majority of my live fire training. It'd be nice to go to the range without any time constraints and have unlimited ammunition. Unfortunately, for me anyway, most days that's not the situation. I'm going to either be restricted on time or maybe I don't want to burn through all the ammo I have. So being effective and efficient is quite important. When I go to the range, I pick 2 drills that I want to work on, and I pick drills that will hopefully complement each other as far as the setup goes. Ideally, I set the targets once and I don't have to move them. I can shoot 2 drills on that setup. An example would be the El Prez setup that most people are probably familiar with. 3 targets a meter apart. So I do that. I can shoot those 3 targets from varying distances, doing a variety of facing the targets, facing away from the targets. I could shoot just one of the targets, doing the doubles drill, that fast predictive shooting. Maybe I want to do reactive shooting at different distances. I could have all 3 of those targets at something like 20 meters, doing the doubles drill on that, really fast predictive shooting. And I could shoot target 1, change magazine, shoot target 2, change magazine, shoot target 3, like in between strings, then walk down, score them in aggregate, something like that. So anyway, an easy setup to do a couple different drills for the day without moving a bunch of stuff around. Then I divide half my ammunition and shoot it on each of the 2 drills I've determined for that day. So for the example I just made, if I brought 500 rounds to the range or 400 rounds to the range, whatever it is, half the ammunition goes on El Prez. Then when I'm done, I'll change the drill or maybe back up if I want to change the distance, whatever. And then I'd work on the doubles drill for the example I just made for the other half of the ammunition I made or I brought with me. The other thing to impress upon you is that it shouldn't be a lot of setup time, in my opinion. I want stuff that's probably 3 to 5 targets total and maybe a stick or a couple cones, something like that. Something I can set up and be firing rounds hammer down in like 5 to 10 minutes at the most. From tires in my car stopping to eye and ear protection on, guns on, magazines loaded, all that stuff ready to start training. So anyway, being efficient is really important. When I'm actually doing the drill, I shoot somewhere between 3 and 5 strings of fire, meaning holstered gun, I get the beep, draw the gun, shoot the drill, get the time, whatever, change the magazines back in the holster, get another beep, another iteration of the drill, look at the time, that kind of thing. Do that maybe 3 to 5 times. Then I'm going to go score them in aggregate. So I'm not walking down after each run looking at them, and I'm not patching the targets after each run. So each target probably has 6 to 10 bullets on it, something like that. Give me a good sense of where they're going. When I score them in aggregate, I patch every hole every time on the targets with very few exceptions. So that way I can just tell, yeah, they're not just in the A zone, but exactly where in the A zone they are. So that's a really good way to keep me accountable and give me a good idea of how things are going. Because I don't want to just be inside a scoring zone. I want to shoot the best possible groups I can. Or for the example, using like a USPSA target, I would have that perforated letter A basically disappear if I could, because I'm just stacking all my bullets right on there where I'm looking at. In between reps, if I don't like something or I just want to work on something or I cue in on something that I'm not doing that I think I should, or I want to see what's going on, doing dry fire reps is also a really good idea. Sometimes I could do that with the gun, leaving it loaded, just pointing it at each of the targets, just stopping at a sight picture on each target. Or maybe I unload my gun in between strings or between patching the targets and do the whole thing dry fire with pulling the trigger. So anyway, that's a good thing to mix in between. I do that a lot in my own training. After that, I just observe what's going on. Being brutally honest with myself. I'm perpetually dissatisfied with my own training because if it's good, I wish it was better. And if it was pretty good, I wish it was great. Get the idea. So I'm always wanting it to be just a little bit better. So all I'm doing is just assessing how things are going. If it's going as well as I hoped, better than I thought, I notice some issue. For example, maybe I'm not using enough support hand grip. And when I'm shooting, I notice the gun's really sliding around in my hands a lot. I don't feel like my hands are staying attached to the gun, or I feel like the gun's moving around more than it should. Maybe I don't like where the sights are stopping on the target. I notice it goes past the target, then I have to make a correction and bring it back. I notice I'm staring at the dot. Shoulder tension, whatever. So anyway, while I'm doing these drills, I'm just noticing things that I don't like about myself that I wish I could change, and then making an honest assessment, keeping track of those. And then at the end of my training, after I've done both drills and just observed what's going on, then I'm going to take those things back to dry fire. That's going to be it for my training for the day. For most days, if I shoot 500 rounds, I'm probably, from tire stopping to pulling away from the range, probably anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45 minutes, something like that, depending on how tedious like the shooting is. If it's far shooting, it's going to take longer, like shooting out to 50 meters with a rifle, just because it takes longer to walk, that distance and back. If it's mid-range or closer shooting, or a lot of that doubles drill or reactive shooting, the ammo might go faster because I'm just constantly stuffing mags, constantly shooting, that kind of thing. So anyway, a pretty efficient practice where I'm not going to be there all day. At the end, I get those observations for how things went, take those back to my dry fire training, and then I just work on those in dry fire. Then the next time I go to the range, I'll just keep those things in mind of what I hoped got better, hopefully not worse, and then I'm trying to work on, and then my next trip to the range, I just rinse and repeat. I'm kind of perpetually dissatisfied where I'm, like I said, the next trip at the range, I'm still nitpicking myself, wishing things were just a little bit better. And continuing to do that has been very good for me, because those little things that kind of eat at me just a little bit, where it's like, man, I didn't have my support hand quite at the right spot. I didn't have quite the proper grip pressure. My sight's not quite stopping at the spot I want it to. Those little things like nitpicking kind of, and they annoy me. And if they annoy me, I'll take the effort to work on them. Then I work on them to get better, hopefully. And then just keep bouncing it back and forth between live fire and dry fire. So it's kind of a journey without a destination, I suppose. It's just a process I keep working on. So anyway, that's what my live fire training looks like. Hopefully that's helpful and gives you some directions for your own training. If you have any questions, drop them below.